Hi everybody, welcome back to another edition of Relatable. I am your host, Stephanie Michele. If you've never tuned in before, this show, as you might guess by the name, is about relating. It's not just about how we relate with others, but how we relate with ourselves. And why would you think that I'd be focusing on this right now in this time and age? Well, I believe that relational wellness is something that affects everything that we want to be and do. How we relate in the world affects our health, our success, and our ability to learn. Each week I'm committed to being as real as possible about my own role in relating patterns and challenges and hopes. And with that being said, I want to let you guys know that I've been up since 2:30 this morning because I couldn't sleep for a couple of different reasons. One of the reasons was I was trying to figure out what was I going to focus on for this show. I always try to share something that I'm thinking or leaned into. And I was up and I just could not figure it out, like what was the thing that I was going to do for this show. And so what I did is I had kind of a little surrender prayer and just said, I don't know, I'm letting go, I have no idea. And it hit me. The theme of today is just be me, not focus on the doing, all the things that I'm doing. So I'm constantly thinking about what I'm doing, what's on my to-do list, how much I can get done in a day, am I doing enough? I ask myself that question all the time. Am I doing enough for friends, family, for work, for clients? Am I doing enough to impact the world in a positive way? My to-do list is exhausting. So today's theme is just be. I'm not quite sure what it means, but if you're listening or you're following along, if you have an idea of what it means just to be you or just to be, let me know. Put something out in the comments. Let's talk about it. But I do know that this was a good theme for today for a couple of reasons. B is the nickname of my team member behind the camera. B also happens to be the middle initial of my guest today, who I'm sure does not realize it yet, but I'm really appreciative of how she let me be and was patient with me as we scheduled this. I had a lot of rescheduling, and of course she allowed me to support and work with Claire and get her on and make sure she was healthy to be here, and I just really appreciate that. I'm so grateful for you. So let's learn about her, and let's not just talk about her. But my guest today is Amber B. Coleman. She is definitely a beer. She's a doer. She's a truth seeker, a truth teller. She's passionate about living life authentically, connecting with others honestly, and understanding love. Amen to that. She is published author of a poetry book titled The Boombox in the Sky, which I get to read. I'm excited about that. That tracks the journey from self-sabotage to love. And she's the founder of words2wise.co, which features her vintage clothing line and her words about wellness. Amber is also a professional dancer that lives in Los Angeles. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is it weird to hear your bio read? I always ask people this when you're sitting this close to somebody.
Yeah, I'm just like, wow, I'm kind of great.
I like it. You can be great. That's the theme, right? Let's be. That's awesome. So the other question I like to ask people when they sit in this chair, Amber, is, so we're going to talk, I'm going to get to know you. We're going to learn about, why you do the things that you do. But before we get into that conversation, is there anything that's on your mind, like anything in the news or anything that you just want to put out there to get off your chest?
I am a little bit concerned about like dropping F-bombs or S-bombs. I'm like really gonna try and pull back on that.
Okay.
And
because mom's watching.
My mom, it probably is watching.
Okay. All right. My mom's watching too. I try not to cuss, but sometimes I look at it like I'm not a violent person.
Yeah.
And as soon as I say one of those words, it just releases it right away. Yeah. So it feels all right. But if you're gonna try not to, I'll be with you on that. Okay, I'll help you out. We need a jar somewhere where we can put coins in if we do it.
Oh man, you might be like rich at the end.
All right, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
All right, and if you do, there's no rules. It's okay. It's just a form of expression.
Okay.
So I'll allow it.
Okay, cool.
All right. Cool. Okay, well, so when I got to talk to you. So we, just so everybody watching knows, Amber and I connected on Instagram, and we just kind of liked what each other were saying and posting, and then we had a phone call, and I said, you know what, I want to find out more about you, and I want to bring you on as a guest. And when I hear your story and I look at your posts, I see you as like a self-expressionist. Like, you're really leaned into art and dance and ways to express yourself. Have you always been that way? Have you always leaned into the art and dance, or where did that come from?
I would say it was through making a really special friendship that I made when I was working in corporate America. But I mean, that friendship didn't like make me who I am right now. Like, this is who I am today, is who I was when I was 8 years old.
Okay.
You know, it's who I dreamed of being, or what the life I dreamed of pursuing when I was like 12. And I say that because, you know, when you're a kid, you're so tapped in, you know, to how you feel and what you like and what you don't like, and essentially who you are. There's no shame involved, you know, and your imagination is boundless. Like, I remember when I was little, being in the South with my aunt, and it was nighttime, and we were looking up at the sky and the stars, and I asked her, I was like, are those really stars, or is heaven peeking out of the sky? Or like, I used to always ask my mom all of these confusing questions about time. Like, I'd be like, Mom, why is it, you know, on Y2K, I remember my family was like, you know, counting down the new year, and I like ran into the corner in the dining room, and I like put myself in a ball, and I was like squeezing my eyes really tight. And after everyone shouted, Happy New Year, my mom ran over and she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm still 1999, Mom. Like, you guys are in 2000, but I'm still 1999. And it's like, it's when you mature in age that these kind of outside voices of fear start to influence, you know, what kind of career you think you should have, and how you should behave as a woman, and who you should date, and when you should get married, and why you should get married, and how you should feel, and why you shouldn't feel how you feel. You know what I'm saying? And I was really good at being myself for a while. That kind of experience lied dormant until I was like a junior in college. And then I looked up and I found this people-pleasing Mother Teresa wannabe who lived for the approval of others and was about to get her bachelor's degree in public policy. And I mean, I liked what I studied, and I think, you know, being a Black girl who grew up in Orange County, it was the messaging in the 90s, and the messaging on the possibilities and the outcomes for somebody like me were very limited, and using the word limited is being very generous. So going to UC Riverside and getting a bachelor's degree in public policy, I got to kind of reimagine, you know, what the possibilities were for somebody like me in this country, and ultimately learned that they you know, there were many different possibilities. But I got my bachelor's degree in public policy. I went on to work for a boutique media group as a writing or project director, and then I worked for a state legislator as a district representative. But before that, when I was working for the media group, I was traveling for work, and I made a friend. And mind you, like, my authenticity at that moment was very, like, it was like an accessory, you know, in like a book some hippie shit book I read, or some hippie shit conference I went to that I didn't tell my friends about, or some high-waisted jeans that I would wear that were vintage. And so I'm traveling, and I make this friend, and he finds my authenticity. He's kind of like, what's that? Oh, this is what this is? And this is how you think, and this is how you dress, and this is what you like you're amazing, like you're crazy, you know? And that was my first time having somebody see me authentically and say yes.
So what's coming up for me in that share, I love the expression, I made a friend. We don't hear that often, you know, I made a friend. But what I'm hearing is, so, you know, most people, and I think women probably do this more, like we, in our young adult life, we're like, okay, I have to look this way, I have to do this thing, I have to like this type of music, I have to pretend like this is okay. And you were doing all that because you like fashion, you like, you know, like some of that's you like, right? But this person saw you and saw more of you and pulled that out and challenged you to kind of like walk in that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was really cool. And that was kind of my moment of really, because I kind of could see what I was doing, of like wanting to kind of live out this American dream. And there's nothing wrong with the American dream, but I guess just kind of the heart posture in it, you know, of just wanting to be liked more than I want it to be myself, and living out somebody else's favorite parts of me and not my own.
What part of this equation, so you talk about in your poetry book, this journey of self-sabotage to love, what's the self-sabotage part?
I would just say not letting yourself be what you are, you know, because when those outside voices of fear creep in, you know, there's so much self-doubt that creeps in because it contradicts what you feel right here, you know. So I think it's a matter of like, you know, kind of how they say unfucking yourself, you know, and kind of
just like, Mom, forget it, you just threw it out. I've caught 3 now. Like it's all out there, you can't go back. It's all right. It's kind of, once you it's kind of like being naked. You don't get more naked. It's out there, right? Recast, it's fine. Because I'm sure your mom and whoever else is watching knows there's more about you, and you know, and the authenticity. So you were putting something hard on yourself that you didn't need to.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, obviously I couldn't live up to it. It's too high of an expectation.
It's all right. It's real. That's what I like about this show. This is actually one of the reasons why I do it live too, because this is real. You know, we're in this space right now together talking, and if we edited that stuff out, that's not real anymore. That's augmented, and we've got tons of that stuff out there. You know, there's tons of augmented conversations in reality. You know, and we have younger women going through the process that you just explained earlier, comparing themselves to that, going, oh, I got to measure up to that, and they haven't made a friend like you made a friend yet, to like go, hey, you don't have to, you know. So I'm good with this. You be good with it too. We're good. So there's part of your story. So you went, you know, you're making opportunity for yourself. You go to college, and you're determined to make opportunity for yourself. But there's this creative pull that's happening, right? And you're wanting to pursue some things that you love. Like, tell me more about that. So
making my friend and meeting my friend was kind of pushed me to kind of unapologetically explore and express my authenticity, but it was projection in a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Have you read that book? So good. It led me to I read it twice, and both times I made really dramatic choices afterwards. But that led me to actually like move to LA and actually pursue my dream. And I said projection because, you know, prior to moving to LA, I got to have a lot of really cool experiences, a lot of experiences that I placed really high on a pedestal. And so what I would do was I would think thoughts like, you know, once I get this high profile job working for this state legislator, that's when I'm going to feel like a success and feel good enough. And once I go on this vacation with one of my best friends to Hawaii in a couple of months, that's when I'm going to feel at rest and at peace and happy. Or once I get my hair done in this way, that's when I'm going to feel beautiful. I would say I would project the deepest expectations onto my love life, dating somebody who was doing the things in life that I dreamed of doing that I wasn't super confident enough to do. Or, you know, when this person loves me, that's when I'm going to feel loved and lovable and good enough and pretty enough. And so I just found myself disappointed over and over and over again. The higher the projection, the higher the expectation, the harder I would fall. And I was just like, I can't, the disappointment just got deeper and deeper, and I was like, I can't keep doing this to myself. And I'm not even like working this job that I'm particularly passionate about. Granted, I was really lucky, I had great bosses, you know, but I was just like, I know who I am right now, and I'm not living that out. And I had reached the end of myself, because it was just an accumulation of like all of my bucket list experiences and them not solving my spiritual problems. And just me saying, okay, like, I'm gonna go to LA, and I'm gonna do something authentic. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna pursue dancing. And I'm not gonna leave LA. I'm not gonna buy an article of clothing, because I know what I'm looking for is not out here. I've already stretched my arms so far outward. Now I'm going to reach deeply into myself. And even with dancing, I kind of was using it to set myself free too, because dancing, it's only your body.
Yeah.
Your body will only do what your mind tells it to. And so, wow, you know, I thought that I moved to LA to pursue, sorry, to pursue a career as a dancer, but I moved to save my life. And it looks like, you know, on a surface that I left behind so much, you know. I left behind a 401k and a bi-weekly paycheck and a socially prestigious job title. But I really feel like I left behind nothing in order to gain everything. Like, I left behind death to gain life. And I'm not saying that. And it's not a dig to anybody I used to work for. But I am saying that, you know, it's been such an experience that even to suffer for my dream, that it has, in the process, stripped me down of, like, you know, deep hurts. I'll kind of compare it to, there's a scripture in the Bible where there's like this farmer. I'm probably gonna butcher the scripture. There's like a farmer, and he's in a field, and he like finds this gem, and he doesn't tell anybody. And then he goes and he sells everything that he has so that he could afford the gem. And the writer is comparing the gem to the kingdom of God. And I really feel like that's what I did. You know, that I kind of sold everything that I had in order to like inherit life for myself.
And you gave up all of that disappointment with it as well.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the journey to get to where you are now. Talk to me about dance and like some of these things that like really are energy giving to you now, that like that you just wouldn't be able to live without, and like why is that?
You know, ironically enough, like I even projected things onto dancing. And so as much as I love it, you know, it's not my saving grace, or it's not my joy, because I still have to bring something to dancing too. You know, something that you know, that's been really cool to kind of enjoy is my vintage line that I started, and just kind of like in as well as my book and things like that. But the slug for it is stop covering up your insecurities with consumerism.
Yeah, I like this phrase that you have. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
So the slug is stop covering up your insecurities with consumerism and to clothe your strengths instead. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like my bottom line is to sell high quality vintage clothes, you know, like if you want to look cute, yes, you should shop with us. You know?
Period. All right.
But like, if you want to feel good about yourself, if you want to feel beautiful, I just feel like I needed to be responsible and say like, you know, you don't come to my store looking to fill a void, you know. If you want to feel good about yourself, purchase a journal, you know, not some boots.
Well, there's something about buying vintage that also says like, look, it's responsible, because there's a lot of poor quality merchandise that's being made, and you know, and God knows what kind of conditions with kids, and you know, and low paid laborers, and this stuff's made bad and it's not going to last, and it ends up in the trash, or you know, or in the back of somebody's closet, and it doesn't make them feel good. But you know, vintage might be, hey, it's got a story. I'm not, you know, we're recycling, you know, and yeah, and there's some stylish kind of make something new that was old, make something old new again, you know, and I think you have to, I like vintage clothes too, so that's why I can go on like this. I like both. I mean, I like vintage clothes. I like a good piece that I find that, that's just, you know, it's like, it's just signature, and you connect to it, and you can tell a story with it, you know, or you start to imagine what the story was to it. But there's something about, you know, seeking out that and the experience and just connecting, and you only need a couple good pieces, you know, to make like a signature kind of look for you, and not, lean into all the consumerism and all the things that we're told to buy.
Yeah, and it goes kind of back to kind of projecting again, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, here's my beauty, or here's my adequacy.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of like, even counseling, in terms of like externally, is limited in its capability to kind of guide you. Like, what you're looking for is right here. And people can come like alongside you and walk this journey with you, but nobody can do it for you. And when you realize that, oh my God. I feel like you can realize it on different levels. But when you like realize it, wow.
Yeah.
We are so responsible, and we owe so much to ourselves, It's kind of like an overwhelming thing.
Yeah, it is. So we talked about stop covering your insecurities with consumerism, which I really love. You've had a couple phrases that you have brought up when we were talking, and I'm like, I can tell this girl wrote a poetry book because you're really good with words and phrases. And so the other one that I really wanted to focus on today is, we were talking and you said, cover your mind with love. I think you were just talking about something, and you were like, I just had to cover my mind with love. And I'm like, yeah, I like that. I knew what it meant, but I want to hear what it means to you. Like, what is that?
I guess kind of to like, just to kind of expand on everything that I've said, of like, I guess you kind of come to realize that there's nothing really to look forward to in life. And I think that's maybe why a lot of like famous and rich people kind of, because they get to realize that so quickly. And so then they go to drugs often. Like, oh, like this doesn't solve my spiritual problems. Oh, like come get me, like I don't want to do this. And so they go to drugs because they don't really want to be here. But I think that because then once, like, that's what we grow up being told. And so once you're done going there, now you have to go here. And this is hard because nobody's really doing this. Everyone's kind of like a zombie.
Brain hacked. I mean, there's a lot of data out right now about how much energy the phone is pulling away from you, just thinking and being conscious and being with yourself and making decisions that are like, oh, I 100% made that, but it's more, as I'm scrolling through Instagram, oh, I need this, oh, I should probably do that, oh, there's a lot of brain hacking going on right now. It's hard to see and experience with people that too. It's like, where are you in there? Like, come back. Like, is that really the decision you want to make right now? But
yeah. And so I think from there, you kind of covering your mind in love, it's a choice that you have to make. So I think your first response to like, oh, there's nothing really to look forward to in life is like kind of, it's a morbid reality. But then I think that you can come to a place of like, oh, there's nothing to look forward to in life. So that brings me to this moment right now. And you're alone. This is about me. I don't know why I'm talking about myself in third person.
Sorry. I'm glad you had that self-awareness in the middle of it.
And so
funny.
So I like brought myself to the present, right? And so I'm alone, but it's not a bad thing because I'm not missing anything. I'm not incomplete because there's no like company to look forward to, and not because company or friendship is a bad thing. But because I kind of have to bring my lacking nothing to my friendships into my love life. Like, I'm not lacking anything on the dance floor kind of thing. And so covering your mind in love, it's a choice that you have to make because you don't experience these things that you want to experience because you've achieved a goal. You experience them because you choose to.
I all of that, like, so when I heard you say it, and and hearing you explain it now, a slightly different version of that comes up for me. So definitely an emphasis on the now. The now is all we have. I mean, we either have nothing to look forward to or everything to look forward to, but the now trumps both. The now is like right now, and like in every moment of now, you get to choose to make it the best it can be. And so if something happens and it's not favorable, and you know, how you react to that is you. So you can be a jerk about it and let it bring you down and let it take more nows and be upset about it, or you can just completely put the cover of love on you and go, you know, that's fine. I got it. You know, I'll do what I need to do about this, or like but I'll get through it, because there's, you know, it's not that big of a deal. You know?
Yes. Like it's kind of like a redemptive way of viewing life.
Yeah.
And then from another standpoint, it's kind of like, you know, not landing a job isn't a reason for you to not feel good enough.
Right.
Because let's be real, you probably felt that way before you even applied.
Yeah.
Or like not
having a bad hair day, not getting the order that you ordered at a restaurant, they didn't get it right. Like all of these like things that people like get upset for, like there's a bazillion of them, right? We could list out a ton. Like my heel broke on my shoe, and they're my favorite shoes. Well, woe is me, you know, like silly stuff, right?
Yeah. Kind of or, you know, kind of when you get to that point of like, I owe so much to myself, and I'm alone, and that's you know, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, reimagining, you know, your family dynamic, your family history, or maybe, you know, you got married and you have kids and you maybe had really high expectations.
Yeah.
Maybe that means I kind of reimagine, cover my mind in love in terms of the way I see my kids or my husband, or now we're gonna have traditions and make it a life worth living.
Yeah. A moment that I've had in this space with the other B over there recently comes up, as we're talking about this, about like there was this day that I was just so stressed about all the things that we weren't getting done, or that I wanted to get done, or things that I really wanted to get done for a particular client. And I was just leaned completely into the stress of that. And like, you know, if I could stop myself from being stressed, I'd probably be able to get it done, you know, like, and that to me is like a stop. Okay, cover yourself, like, you know, really be mindful and loving, and like nobody's upset at you in this moment, but you are holding yourself in a state of being upset, and that's not helping anybody, you know?
Yeah.
So get out of it.
For the record, that's like a ninja level, like emotional, like maturity.
Yeah.
To be able to go there, you know, to really be able to kind of take that understanding. And
I love that. I'm going to rename my show Emotional Relational Ninja. I like it.
Yeah.
No, you know, it does. I think it's a skill too. I'm gonna be myself and say, yeah, I do think it's a skill, but it takes practice like anything else. And it's one of the reasons that I do this show. It's like, we both know, we live in California, we know lots of people, you're doing creative things. We know people that just complain about people all the time. They complain about a family member, they complain about who they're dating, and it's like, you know, if you stopped and looked at your own role in this and had some awareness and had the willingness to like try something differently, it probably wouldn't be this way.
Yeah.
But when you're constantly, you know, not really paying attention to the moment, not paying attention to your own participation in it, yeah, that's when it gets challenging, because you're just, you know, running through the motions.
Yeah.
So a little awareness goes a long ways, I think, is where that conversation ends up. So, you know, in this pursuit of like doing things that you love and like getting to know yourself and like really leaning into your own authenticity, what are your thoughts on you know, encouraging other people to do that? What if someone told you, well, you Orange County girl, that's a luxury. You had this or that. Like you had a luxury of being able to, like, you know, to lean into this stuff. Like, what would you say to that person?
I I mean, as far as it being a luxury, I think it's only a luxury because not enough people give themselves that opportunity to have that experience, you know? Like, you don't have to be like me and leave your whole life behind.
You do little things to steps to authenticity, yeah.
Yeah, like even if it was a dancing and, you know, and I was, you know, born in a different, you know, country and had different responsibilities, I could even still take a moment in my room, you know, and close my door and turn on music and dance, you know, and that's enough. And then, what was
and the other part of the question is so if you were encouraging someone to like kind of go on this journey themselves, what were some of the things that you'd say to them?
Ooh, I would say good luck.
Yeah.
Because it's not cute. Like,
yeah. Authenticity is not cute. That's another quotable moment. It's not supposed to be cute. It's supposed to be real, right?
Yeah. It's messy. And I was thinking on my way here, like, I didn't realize, very recently I realized this, like, you know, things will crash and burn and die. A horrible death. And guess what? That doesn't mean quit. That means that you have to like look at the death and learn from it and keep going, which has been so challenging, you know. But you know, and it's just like, it's altruistically valuable more than it is. Because notice I haven't really talked about like anything I've accomplished, you know, as a dancer or with my brand and things like that, you know, of which there are many things, but it's just not as, valuable to me.
The journey is more valuable, yeah. I mean, if you were just focused on that, then you're back into that other, you know, the thing that we were talking about earlier, which is like achieving that thing and then you're disappointed and you're disappointed. But when you ride the journey, right? When you ride the ride, it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna maintain peace and happiness and like do my thing and feel good about it, and like that is the accomplishment. That is the accomplishment.
Yes.
You have light in your eyes. You're smile. That is the accomplishment. I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. That's all I would say was good luck.
Yeah.
But it's hard, but it's worth it.
You think good friends, like having people around you to support you, like having someone to talk to, is helpful?
For me, a lot of my relationships even were stripped.
Is the friend that you made still a part of your life?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think that honestly being able to kind of go into here, because I was, you know, even good at keeping company in order to not be alone. And so a lot of that after like kind of taking care of myself and realizing what I needed in order to, like even the relationships, you know, that sometimes boundaries aren't respected or people just can't see you. And it's like, you can't see me and you're a good person, but, you know, I can't be myself fully. I have to compartmentalize myself in this relationship.
To be around you.
To be around you, so.
To be around you, I disappear. So that,
So it wasn't really, it was really just all coming back to myself.
I've heard you say alone a couple times. Is that important to you, like to take time to be alone? Do you still do that? Or was that just part of like the beginning of the journey where you're like, I'm gonna have to pull out of all this right now to take care of myself? So is it still an important thing for you to do, to have some alone time?
I'm actually really good at being alone.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, intimacy is a very like, a very kind of thinly layered thing. But definitely pulling away at first was like a big part of that. Of like, I have all these relationships and I think I need to cut out some fat, you know?
Yeah.
And then I think now coming full circle to needing to learn how to be intimate again, but in a way that I can still honor myself.
Yeah. I think being alone is an important part, or being able to love yourself, enjoy the now, and be alone is an important part to relational wellness. And also feel like this is a big problem in today's society where there's this huge fear of missing out and like going 24/7 and like looking at like where everybody else is, and it's like there is nothing. I mean, I can tell you this because I know I have some years on you. There is nothing new that happens after midnight at any given place in any club in any city. It is the same characters, the same things that happen. You know, like you just start to watch things like, okay, yeah, this is what goes on. Nothing new. Like, and you as you get older, you'll see it. Like when you're out, you know, like. That's just one thing. That's just one thing. But yeah, I think alone time is like a super important part of having healthy relationships. It's like to be able to come to the table knowing yourself and being able to speak your truth comes from a time of isolation to get there. We can't totally live in isolation. Right. You know, we're not meant to live in isolation, but having some of it is helpful for relationships.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and figuring it all out. What else can we talk about? Okay, I know, so you've mentioned a couple times, I get a little hint of faith. So I know that that's probably something that's important to you. Like, can you talk about that? Like,
yeah. Me and religion have a really complicated relationship.
Yeah.
But I guess like that's just kind of a life thing of like working it out.
Yeah.
But you know, I grew up in a Christian household, and I was, you know, I started to really get into it during the time where I looked up and found myself as a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I've always kind of been like an honest person, and so when I have questions about certain things, I'm not afraid to ask them. But when I really started to kind of dig into faith, and I guess Christianity to be more specific, I was surrounded with people who were very afraid of my questions and who were afraid of the spiritual risks that I wanted to take in order to grow closer in my faith and relationship with God. And so if I wanted to kind of step away, they'd be like, oh no, you can't do that. Like, oh no, you're not being, you know, you're not being authentic. You're not being you're doubting? What? You call yourself a real Christian or whatever? And so that was really hard for me because I hadn't seen anything else.
Yeah.
And so I stepped away millions of times because I felt like that's what I had. Was my only option. I had to kind of give in to this kind of dogmatic way of believing and fearful way of believing, or I had to be like, you know, not believe in any, you know.
Yeah.
And so I guess very recently I got to a point where I could just be authentic and I could be real, because there's always the essence of, you know, a lot of things in Christianity, the essence of it that really resonate in here, but then you kind of see these communities and you're like, that doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to a place where I can be real and authentic, and there was, you know, I'm not, and I found a community of that as well. And there's not, you know, there's not the presence of people who want to hide their warts and their wounds that everyone has, all in the name of like keeping up an image of perfection. And keeping your power. But the thing about power is you don't get to enjoy it unless you share it or give it away. And if you're not, then it's not power, it's oppression. So, but yeah, faith is something that, and those were some of the relationships that were stripped in my life as well.
Yeah, I actually can relate to that quite well. You know, I've had, I feel the same way about religion. I mean, I have a very strong faith, but I have had to step away from people that I consider religious or communities that don't, in my opinion, don't really practice what they preach. You know, and with the judgment and, you know, telling people how to live their life, like it is a journey, and it's a personal journey, and if you're going to believe in something, that's really, you know, between you and your God, as far as I'm concerned. And to have someone tell you how to have that experience doesn't feel right. And for me, the hardest thing about that, and you alluded to it a little bit too, is doing a show about relationships, wanting to like learn from different people, I really believe in community and the importance of having like a really strong community around you. And community is not cute either. Like community is real, you know what I mean? Like community is like you got different people in your neighborhood that do different things, and like they're not perfect, Yeah. They're just in your community. They show up for you. They do things, and they see you when you're no makeup walking the dog, and they're like, they still like you. Yeah. They're cool with you.
Yeah.
And so I know how important it is, but I think that some religious communities are not seeing how much the world has changed and how much people need community, and have not gone through the lengths of like really allowing people to grow in a community instead of telling them how to do it. It's like, look, allow me to be who I am. I probably have more gifts to give you, right? Than for you to tell me how that looks like,
Yeah.
And I find it like sad and disappointing, and like, if I could shake the institution of religion in many aspects, I would love to do that, because people are dying to like feel part of something, and like it should be a church, but it doesn't feel that way. And like, it's not hard to sit next to somebody and start to hear a little bit of like, ugh, religion, no. Because they've had a bad experience.
Yeah.
They didn't feel welcomed, or, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I had an experience, it was in Chinatown? No, Little Tokyo. Chinatown. Okay. And there was this boutique, and they had like this night of tea. And it was so crazy. Like, I didn't know what to expect, but I had walked into this boutique, and I was like, oh, this is cute. And they were like, come to tea night. And I was like, okay.
I like tea.
And so there were all these people sitting around, and basically each person, was so open and honest and vulnerable. And we didn't know anything about their religious backgrounds. And I was just like, wow, like, we're all being so intimate. So, and it's not taking forever, and we don't know each other. And, in my experience, that would happen around a Bible. But to have it happen.
Small group, yeah.
Yeah.
Small group, yeah.
Yeah, to have it happen around like some tea. I was like, this is so cool. Like, I wish that this was like normal, and that.
It is, my friend. That's what I do. I do an event called Public Shared Experience at a place that I volunteer at, and that's exactly what we do. It's like we just like go there, get real, and talk, and like just whatever's there, whatever people want to bring up, because like it is such an energy charge to like really feel someone just speaking their truth. They're not like looking to like hide it or filter it, but just like, man, I just gotta let this go, and like to be able to respond to that. Like, it's a gift to be in the presence of somebody like sharing something from a deep level. Yeah. And I think most people are like starving for this, but they don't even know, they haven't experienced it enough to know what will quench their thirst, and that's, it's tough. It's tough.
I feel like, and I wish that, like more communities of faith would be open to giving that to other people without like a pretense either. Like, oh, okay, like let me help you, or let me, you know what I'm saying? Of like, no, like we all have something to give to each other. Yeah. And it kind of makes you think like, oh, it kind of makes you reevaluate faith again. Yeah. If like, oh, if this can happen around tea, and everyone can do it, then it kind of makes you.
It's one of my favorite quotes of the Bible, actually, is when two or more gather in his name. And I don't even think everybody has to believe a certain way, but I just believe spiritual energy shows up when people gather and really want to authentically connect and be in the presence of each other. I just think spiritual energy enters in the room, like something magical happens. Like, but that's just me, and I've experienced, actually, I can say it, I don't just think it and like hope it to be true. I've experienced it. Like, I've really seen people open up in a way that they could not do by themselves, and it just happened to be the right mix of people experiencing the now that really created this very uplifting, like, whoa kind of moment. And What else do you call it but God or the presence of spirituality, you know?
Yeah, because I'm remembering now, we meditated together.
Yeah.
And then people were talking about their experience, and they were talking about God, you know?
Yeah.
They were like, oh, I felt held, and I felt like this grandfatherly presence. And I was just like, what is going on?
Yeah. Like, this is amazing, but weird too. Yeah. No. I've experienced it, so I know it's there. All right. Well, we've covered a lot of ground.
Yes.
I mean, we've covered some really beautiful ground here. So not to ruin that, but just to switch gears, I like to kind of point out that at any given time, how we're relating can change, the circumstances can change. And I do that by just asking silly questions. So you get to choose. So I have this box, it's called Not Your Mama's Dinner Party Table Topics, and then this little book. Pick, and you can pick the book or the box.
I'll do the book.
The book?
Yeah.
The book's fun. It's interesting. So just tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay. All right. Okay, if you were sentenced to hear one of the following all morning, every morning for the next year, which would be worse? A baby crying, someone screaming, someone cursing drunkenly, or the song "It's a Small World" played over and over again?
Oh, someone cursing drunkenly. I can at least laugh at that maybe sometimes.
That's the worst one?
Oh, no.
That's the one you would pick if you
Yeah.
had to listen to it? And what's the worst one out of that list?
The worst one, probably "It's a Small World."
Yeah, I think
like,
so.
Shut up. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I think so too. I like that ride at Disney, but I don't know if I can listen to that song over and over again.
No.
Okay, let's give you another one. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay. While out one day, you come upon your mother holding hands with someone who is obviously her lover. She sees you and races over, begging not to say anything to your father. What would you do?
Oh my gosh.
I know. You wanted the book? I like these get a little weird sometimes.
I think, I mean, I would probably tell my dad. Or it would probably come out, like, you know, yeah, like, sorry, but that's kind of my dad.
You kind of have to do it, huh?
Yeah.
Do you want another one, or do you want to ask me one?
You can do another one.
You want another one? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay. If you could give anyone a love potion that would so open their hearts to you that they'd be hopelessly in love with you forever, would you? If so, who? Gets even better. Do you think the responsibilities of their devotions might ever become a burden to you? That's a three-parter.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would want someone to choose. And I think that, I mean, in the end, like, would it if I did? Yeah, that would be, you know, I don't know, it just feels unnatural.
It does, right?
Yeah.
It feels a little manipulative. Like, who would it be? Who's your celebrity crush?
Oh my God, Michael Ealy.
Michael Ealy?
Yeah, he's so hot.
So would you do it for him?
No.
No. All right. Okay. Well, we are nearing the end of the show. This has been really awesome.
Thank you.
Very sweet conversation. Very meaningful. And in that regard, I'd like to, you know, to be able to gift that to somebody else. So we do what's called a heart swell on the show, which is basically you just thinking of somebody that really deserves a shout out, some recognition, that you want to tell them how important they are in your life, or whatever it is. Maybe you want to send them some encouragement on something they're doing. But the reason that I do this, I just feel like the more people experiencing and seeing people be compassionate about each other, and we just raise the levels of compassion and empathy in the world. So it's really important for me to have people experience someone going, yeah, she cares about that person. Does someone come to mind?
My parents.
Okay, and you can look at the camera to like make sure they get it, they hear you.
I would say to my dad, just that I'm so happy that at this point in my life that we were able to become best friends, and that you've been able to just like help me with life so much, you know. It hasn't always been that way. And I think it is, like, you know, kind of miraculous. Not that anything super crazy happened, but that, like, you know, I can say today that you're like one of my best friends. So So thank you for your friendship.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Aw, Daddy's girl. I like it. All right, well that does bring us to the end. I'm really glad that we got to do this.
Me too.
It's a really nice conversation.
Me too.
So you can follow Amber at Amber B, and B is spelled out like a buzzing bee. Amber.B Coleman on Instagram. It's actually on the screen right now too, and I'll share out your links when we do the archive. So everybody will be able to find you and read your blog and hopefully buy your poetry book. I'm gonna, now that I have a copy of it, I might tweet out a couple of my favorite ones. So I'll read through it and let you know which ones popped out for me.
Yeah, please do.
Thank you. And yeah, so we'll share everything in the archives. The next show is going to be Kyle Sawyer he's the founder of Building Alleys, and we're going to talk about social justice and challenging privilege, which should be a really good conversation. He's already done some challenging on my behalf, and I'm open for it, so it should be a good conversation. And Amber, you can help me do this. So I usually put out a social challenge of the week for people to just try to kind of open up to relating. And I really like, I mean, we just totally leaned into the be part of this theme, just being yourself. And so I want to challenge people to just watch their words and like really be careful with them, and speak your truth. And, and if you have to take a moment, just a second, before you say something. If you're a person that apologizes a lot, I'm sorry, stop that this week. Just try not to do that. Just be you. Maybe you need to apologize more. There might be some of those people that are watching, but if you find yourself, I gotta cover the gamut here. But if you are a person that says, I'm sorry a lot, try to stop doing that. That's kind of taking a gift away from you. Also words like kind of or sort of. I sort of know this. I kind of.
I always do that.
Yeah, right? What else would you add to this? Like, we want to challenge people to just be themselves this week.
I would say, do something that you enjoy, that you're passionate about. Engage with something that you're passionate about on any level. And take some time to be alone.
Yeah. The alone time will help you be able to come into your words and use them better, right? All right, so that's the social challenge of the week. Just be you, do you, and watch your words in doing that. Let me know if you take the challenge. You can reach out to me at Love More Now on Twitter or Instagram at Relate with Steph. This show will get archived with all the things that we talked about, links to her blog, to her cool vintage store, The Artist's Way. I'll put that out because we talked about that and any other books that we talked about. That will be on Stephanie Michele in a couple days. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have a public shared experience event coming up at the Relational Center. And what we talked about, the hair on my back of my neck just stood up. I got to tell you guys this because it just like literally, well, so energy of the room. So what we do at these events is we just sit in a circle and we just get really fast and really intimate and connect. And for me, why I lead these events is like I want people to feel how good it feels to relate when it does feel good, when people are connecting on an authentic level. So that's coming up February 12th at the Relational Center, and I'll tell you more about that as it gets closer. And as always, my big thing, that I always encourage people to do is just relate with more curiosity. Just go out there, ask questions. Be more curious with yourself, be more curious with with other people, but relate with more curiosity. See you next week.
Bye.